Money is a personality test, and most people are failing it. The common wisdom is that wealth corrupts, turning good people into caricatures of greed. Others swear it simply reveals who you were all along. Both sides are passionate, and both have evidence that feels true. So where do you stand? By the end of this, the answer might feel much less comfortable. The argument that money poisons the soul is compelling. It feels right. We've all seen it, or felt it. The friend who gets a big promotion and suddenly becomes a stranger. The small business owner who strikes it rich and forgets the people who built the company alongside them. This narrative is backed by unsettling research. At UC Berkeley, psychologists ran an experiment using a rigged game of Monopoly. One player was given twice the money, collected twice the salary for passing go, and rolled 2 dice instead of 1. The game was explicitly unfair. The rich player knew it. The poor player knew it. The researchers watched from behind a one-way mirror. The results were immediate. The rich players began to move their pieces more loudly, slamming the metal token onto the board. They displayed signs of dominance and celebration. Their posture changed. They took up more space. They even ate more pretzels from a bowl placed on the side. A bowl the experimenters noted the poor players barely touched. At the end of the game, when asked why they had won, the rich players talked about their strategy, their skill, their brilliant decisions. They attributed the outcome of a rigged game to their own inherent qualities. The unfair advantage, the very reason for their success, became invisible to them. It was absorbed into a story of personal merit. This finding echoes in the real world. The same research group found that drivers of luxury cars were 4 times more likely than drivers of cheap cars to cut off other vehicles at a 4-way intersection. They were also more likely to speed past a pedestrian waiting at a crosswalk. This suggests a pattern. An increase in wealth seems correlated with a decrease in compassion and ethical behavior. It's as if wealth creates a psychological bubble, insulating a person from the needs and rights of others. The empathy circuits just seem to go quiet. The world becomes a game you are winning, and other people become obstacles or non-player characters in your story. That sounds definitive, a clear case of money as a corrupting agent. But there's a problem with blaming the money. This explanation assumes the person was a blank slate before the cash arrived. It suggests a chemical change, that dollars somehow metabolize into arrogance. An alternative view is that money is an accelerant. It's a gallon of gasoline poured on the faint, flickering ember of your true character. It allows you to become more of who you already were, for better and for worse. The constraints are simply removed. Think about it. A person who was always quietly generous, who tipped 25% even when it was a stretch, is given $1 billion. They don't suddenly start buying solid gold helicopters. They endow a university. They fund medical research. They pay off the student loans for an entire graduating class. The scale of their action has changed, but the underlying impulse, the desire to give, was always there. The money just gave it a bigger lever. Conversely, someone who was secretly paranoid, who double-checked the locks at night and trusted no one, gets a windfall. They build a bunker. They hire security teams. They see conspiracies in every business deal and betrayals from every friend. The money gave them the resources to build a world that perfectly matched their inner landscape of fear. This is the amplifier thesis. Money provides leverage. It provides scale. It takes the signal of your personality and turns up the volume until the entire neighborhood can hear it. The person who was always a little controlling now tries to run their family like a corporation. The person who always loved to learn now builds a personal library the size of a small-town public one. The person who quietly resented their peers now engages in loud, conspicuous consumption to prove their superiority. Nothing new was created. It was only magnified. This perspective feels more complete because it puts the responsibility back where it belongs. On the person, the money is just a tool. A powerful, dangerous tool, but a tool nonetheless. And yet this explanation has its own blind spot. It treats the person as a fixed object and money as a simple force. It ignores the most powerful effect money has: the power to change your environment. And your environment over time changes you. This is the feedback loop that most people miss. You are not the same person when everyone around you says yes. You are not the same person when you are insulated from the small daily frictions of life that keep you grounded. Imagine you become incredibly wealthy. Your social circle shifts. You hang out with other wealthy people. Your problems are no longer relatable to your old friends. You can't complain about the cost of servicing your private jet to someone worried about making rent. A gap forms, a natural, almost inevitable isolation. At the same time, a new ecosystem builds itself around you. Employees, lawyers, assistants, advisors. Their livelihoods depend on your continued success and goodwill. Will they tell you your new business idea is terrible? Will they tell you that you were rude in that meeting? Will they tell you that your joke wasn't funny? Some will, most won't. Your world becomes a carefully curated reality, an echo chamber padded with deference and agreement. This is a form of social sensory deprivation. You lose your feel for the world. You're like an astronaut in zero gravity for too long. Your muscles of social awareness begin to atrophy. You lose the ability to read a room because every room you enter reconfigures itself around you. The negative feedback that corrects our worst impulses gets filtered out. This is how a fundamentally decent person can begin to drift. They start believing their own press. They slowly morph into the person the rigged Monopoly game creates. The change isn't a sudden poisoning. It's a slow, environmental adaptation. The money builds a new world, and the person adapts to survive in that new world. The cage has golden bars, but it is still a cage. It locks you in with a version of yourself that is no longer being challenged. The process is subtle. It's the accumulation of thousands of tiny interactions. People laughing a little too hard at your jokes. People agreeing with your half-formed opinions a little too quickly. The absence of the word no in your daily vocabulary. Each instance is trivial, but compounded over years, it rebuilds your perception of yourself and your place in the world. You start to believe you are the person who deserves this frictionless existence. You forget what it feels like to wait in line, to be told your card is declined, to have to persuade someone who has nothing to gain from agreeing with you. These small indignities are a kind of psychological nutrient. They keep our ego in check. They keep us connected to the shared reality of being human. When money removes them all, you begin to starve. This leads to the final, and perhaps most tragic part of the puzzle, the psychological cost of getting everything you want. We are goal-seeking creatures. Our brains are designed to strive, to overcome, to solve problems. The neurochemistry of happiness is deeply tied to the process of pursuit, not to the state of arrival. The dopamine hit comes from the anticipation of the reward, the effortful climb toward the peak. What happens when you reach the peak and realize there are no more mountains to climb? When you can buy anything you can think of, for many, the result is an existential crisis, a profound sense of purposelessness. This isn't about feeling sorry for billionaires. It's a mechanical problem, a system designed for scarcity, and struggle is suddenly flooded with infinite abundance. The engine seizes up. The things that used to provide meaning, career progression, saving for a house, providing for your family, are rendered moot. They are solved problems. You have infinite freedom, but freedom from all constraints can feel like a vacuum. You have the resources to do anything, but you have no compelling reason to do anything. This is the paradox of wealth. The finish line you spent your whole life sprinting toward turns out to be just another starting line for a race you don't know how to run. The struggle gave your life a shape, a narrative. Without it, you can lose the plot entirely. It's here that the amplifier effect returns with a vengeance. If a person has a strong internal sense of purpose, a mission that is independent of money, then wealth becomes a super tool to pursue that mission. But if a person's identity was primarily built around the pursuit of money, its acquisition, its status, then achieving it can trigger a total identity collapse. They got the thing they wanted, and in doing so, they lost the one thing that organized their entire life. They become a ghost, haunting the halls of their own success. So we have a vicious loop. Your character dictates how you first use money. That money builds a new environment around you. That environment, with its lack of friction and honest feedback, slowly begins to reshape your character. And the very achievement of your financial goals can dismantle the psychological structures that gave you purpose in the first place. The money is a mirror that shows you who you are. And it is a hammer that slowly, imperceptibly beats you into a new shape. This isn't just a thought experiment for the 1%. It happens at every scale. A $10,000 raise changes your environment. A $100,000 inheritance changes it more. Each step up the ladder removes a different set of constraints and introduces a new set of social pressures. It changes the people you see, the problems you think about, and the feedback you receive. It tempts you at every level to believe that you earned your place on this rung, and that those below simply didn't try as hard. So, who are you, really, when the constraints are gone? If you got everything you wanted, would you recognize the person you become? Where do you draw the line between a tool you use and a tool that begins to use you?